What is up, everyone? This is Captain Eon speaking, and today I'd like to share from chapter 34, verses 16 to 20, all on the idea of between the sheeps. I just finished watching a Cesar Millan video. For those that may not be familiar, he is known as the dog whisperer. And what I really enjoy about just what he has to share is the idea that the problem isn't really the animal, but it is the human who is in charge or responsible for this animal. And there's this idea that to me is the core of his practice and his approach to everything, and it is this pack mentality. The idea that the dogs in this case are pack animals, and as the human, it is our responsibility, or the responsibility of the human in the pack, to be the pack leader. And the core values I was getting at, what really stuck out to me was that the three things to make the pack work were honesty, integrity, and loyalty. And I heard that and I was like, wow, what admirable traits, just across the board. And this worked out so perfectly because it really fit what God was dealing with me today on the idea of what goes on between a sheep, the sheep of his pasture. And so with this example and this idea, I posed the question: how much importance is placed on the conduct of the fold with reference to this idea that Cesar Millan introduced with dogs, this pack mentality, with these things, these core values that he believes to be at the core of a pack: honesty, integrity, and loyalty. How does the core makeup of the fold, the sheepfold of Christ, relate or differ? And like off the top, immediately, God addresses his sheep and the state of his sheep right in the beginning of the treatment. And he talks about his sheep being scattered and bringing it all back. And he has some words for those who caused the scattering of the sheep, those that basically that were left in charge, that didn't do a good job. And ultimately he says, hey, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And he basically says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to become the sheep. I'm going to be the shepherd of my sheep. And then he talks about the behavior among the sheep. And going back to this one dog in this episode I saw, he was basically like this loner, this outlier, and really was like an oddball within the pack. And just to watch how the relationship changed and how he actually became part of the pack, and how the pack of dogs was strengthened. And so I just imagine, and going back to one of my sisters who really changed my perception on the whole body of Christ and me as a member in it, as the sheep of his pasture, with some extensive work and writings and some verbal shares that I heard her do a few times on this topic. And it really aligns up with the text I mentioned, where God is talking about the behavior among the sheep and how they treat each other, and how for him it is vitally important, because when he comes back to judge, that he is going to judge the sheepfold or his people based upon their treatment of others. So he's going to come and judge his own based on how they treated his own. So he's really concerned about his own. And that really had me, or has me, in a place of reflection on how am I operating within the fold? Am I someone who is eating my daily bread, eating the manna that he provides, and after I get my fill, trading down or stepping on the rest so my fellow sheep can't eat? Am I partaking in his rivers of living water, and then after drinking my fill, muddying up the waters? This goes back and reminds me of, or really connects with, what God says when he comes to earth, and he talks to, I believe he was talking to his disciples, or at least about his disciples, when saying that's how you will be able to identify my disciples, my own, who are truly a part of my flock, by the love they have for each other. And what this really brings to a conclusion for me is the fact that by treating other members of the flock with love, I am ultimately treating God with love. For the fold is essentially his body. Captain on this. May there be nothing but love in between the sheeps. Sir.